Welcome back to Just 15 Minutes, the space where leaders share the real practices that keep them steady under pressure. Today, I'm joined by Sahil Patel, the CEO of Spiralyze. Welcome, Sahil.
Thank you for having me. Really glad to be here.
I'm glad that you're here as well. Would you join me for a brief drop-in practice where we can come into a moment of regulation together?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. All right. This can be done eyes open or eyes closed, whatever you're comfortable with, and feel whatever connection you have to the ground below you. This could be your seat, this could be your feet, this could be your hands placed on desk or thighs, whatever it might be, anywhere there is groundedness. And once you connect to the ground, we'll take 3 breaths in together, inhaling and releasing. Pulling up from the earth, inhaling and releasing. Last one with pause at the top, inhaling from the earth, holding in the belly and releasing, and then allowing the breath to return back to a natural state and coming back into the space together. Welcome.
Glad to be here. I'm curious, what we just did is very consistent with my own Pilates and yoga practice, which most mornings I do, and I did it this morning. So it felt like a continuation, and I feel good. For most of your guests, is that something new? Does anyone not join you in it? Does it feel, it can push someone into discomfort if it's not something they're used to doing?
Yeah, definitely. It is, for many guests, it is new. All guests have accepted. And that is always, it's an invitation, right? So it's always consent. We don't have to do it. And I find this even in my own yoga classes, my own breathwork and meditation classes. Once you give people the invitation, they're open and they want to try. And then at the end of it, it's like, whoa, that took 30 seconds and I feel so much different. So I think this is actually a great place to start. You have your own daily practice. Yoga, Pilates, sounds like a little bit of breath work as well.
Yeah, I find today I'm in a place where I usually, the breath work is incorporated into, especially if I'm doing more challenging practice. I've gotten to a place where I don't actually focus on making whatever the move or the process is. I focus on kind of the breath work to get from point A to point B. And kind of whether I do the way the instructor is doing it is secondary. Not to say it's unimportant, but I would say it's secondary.
Yeah, to move into challenging postures, to move into a transition using breath, I think is a powerful tool in honoring the experience of where you're at. And so I'm curious if you could bring me into a moment where there was pressure in your day-to-day, something happened, and how you were able to handle that situation using the tools that you have at your disposal via, your daily practices.
I'll share something that I think everyone can relate to. I was on a call yesterday with a customer, and the customer was unhappy with, let's just say, with our performance.
Yeah.
I think the old Sahil would have been very focused on resolution. And by the way, resolution is important, right? I think if a customer expresses or a team member expresses dissatisfaction, it's not enough to just say, I hear you. But I think that's the starting point, and that the pain and discomfort that I was anticipating and I was going to feel during that particular interaction was transitory. And so I think that's part of what we were just talking about. If you're doing a challenging posture in your Pilates practice or yoga practice, the pain or discomfort of reaching for something it's transitory. The breath work is what gets you there. Now, I think you also have to live in the real world. If you're at work and you're kind of doing this in a kind of an overt way, it's a little odd and it's a little awkward. So I think, the way I convert that into work is it's regulating or managing. By the way, regulating and managing almost sounds like so stilted. I would say it's more it's being aware of and kind of, I'll say managing it. I think that's what you're doing is doing some self-management internally to be, okay, there's going to be some discomfort. It might be for the full 30 minutes. I was lucky that it wasn't. It was mercifully short, and we were able to find some mutual agreement before the end of the.
Yeah, I love what you're highlighting. Leadership starts here. It starts inside of us. Before we can lead others, we have to lead ourselves first. And that regulation, that management is what then allows for our presence to ripple outwards and to then be able to lead others well. and modeling that in real time. It doesn't have to be a big practice. It can be a very subtle thing that it sounds like you're doing. It's coming back to, your breath in the moment. It doesn't have to be a big breath practice like we did. It could be very short, it could be very simple. And also the daily routine and ritual that you're in is building that capacity to be with discomfort. So I'm curious, before you started developing that capacity, what would the old you have done in that situation? Can we role play a little bit and just like, what do you think you would have done yesterday?
I think the old me, I mean, I'll go back. I have the benefit now. This is my second time as a CEO. I'd done it for 10 years before I became CEO of my current company. I think the old me would have focused on kind of a more transactional experience, which is the person on the other side has a pain point, and my job is to address their pain point. And by the way, that's not wrong. That is part of the job, I think, the CEO. But I think that's an incomplete view, and it pushes everyone into a transactional mindset, which is, what can I offer you? Can I offer you a discount? Can I offer you a freebie? Can I offer you some promise of future value or a promise of it won't happen again? Now, by the way, someone comes to you with a complaint, I'll come back. You can't just say, I hear you. It's just not I mean, it's work, right? They pay us money for something that we're going to deliver, some form of value. And I don't think you can lead with that because it feels too soft. There is a bit of transactionalness. I don't know if that's a word, but there is a bit of transactionalness.
Mhm.
In a sense, every customer relationship has some transaction at its underpinning. We deliver something, they pay us for it. That being said, I think that's an incomplete view of the interaction, which is, what can I transact with you today to alleviate your pain? And I think it puts you it would have put me in the mindset of the shopkeeper or
Mhm.
I'm at the farmer's market and I have a stall and we're negotiating how much for the
Right.
apples. Um, yeah, very transactional. And so I think that's reductive. Whereas I think the broad reason, hey, this is one interaction of many. We've been doing our job. The other person on the other side will realize that. We
Mhm.
also have to come good on our job and resolve
Mhm.
or at least address the issue, or there's not going to be many more interactions. Sooner or later, you will have exhausted the goodwill. And I think some of it's understanding kind of where are we on that spectrum. Have we exhausted all the goodwill? Is there goodwill left in the tank? And I think you do have to be mindful. If you've exhausted all of it, you may have to go to some level of transactionness to make a deposit with whoever's customer, partner, employee is on the other side of this.
What I'm hearing is there's the evolution here is from a transactional nature shopkeeper, tit for tat, right? This is just purely an exchange, and that would have been the mindset. And the transition is now into relational. There's still a back and forth happening, but it's coming from a place of more understanding. It's coming from a place of more depth. It's coming from a place of more trust. There's been a trust that has been developed. You talk about goodwill. I trust that this client means well. They trust that I mean well. We have a rapport, and now we have a relation. So it's moved from transactional to relational.
I think that's a good
Does
way
that
to
feel
put it.
correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. And in that relational field comes sometimes big emotions. Big emotions can come up because now we're in a relationship. And I think that what I also heard was the humility to be able to accept that this may be something on our end and then being able to own it and not doing it from a place of pleasing. Because I think that in the transactional world, that could have been from a place of pleasing. I'm just trying to please them. But now it's coming from a place I want to own this because I'm
Yeah.
invested in this relation.
And let's double click on that. I think it's also it gets you away from the mindset of my goal is pain alleviation. When your mindset is pain alleviation, or let me say primarily pain alleviation, there's almost anything you will do to alleviate the pain. Uh, and so let's take this back to what we were talking about a few minutes ago, Pilates practice or a yoga practice. If you're aiming for I don't want to say aggressive, an aspirational posture, and it's difficult or painful, and your mindset is pain alleviation, what will you do? You will stop doing the practice, or at least stop the posture. But I think we all agree, don't do something that is going to actually injure you. like cause
Right.
actual injury to your body. Um, but if it's awkward or it's difficult or it feels you're disappointed with your ability to do it, if you don't approach it from a standpoint of pain alleviation and instead you focus on the breath and just say, I'm going to
Mhm.
breathe into this and I'm just going to do it kind of as much as I can. Um, by the way, everyone has a stopping point, right? And if you're doing something that's a challenging, you're a level 1 and you do a level 2 yoga, hey, there's going to be some things, but that's that difference is like, hey, I'm not trying to just alleviate pain. If anything, I think if you're doing it right, it lets you be more generous and say, I'm not worried about my own pain. Can I help alleviate the person whoever's on the other side of this?
Yeah, from learning to work with your own discomfort, right? I was uncomfortable. I managed myself first. I regulated myself first. Now I can be with you and I can be in that position of leadership to help you with your discomfort.
Yeah. And I think it's also saying, just sometimes for me, like saying out loud, like, hey, I think this is going to be a tough call.
Yeah.
Like I actually, my VP and I, we huddled before because we wanted to make sure we were on the same page and had prepped. And I just said, hey, I think we're gonna get an ass whooping on this call. Just that's what it is.
I think naming tension in this room, let's just name it. Let's call it out and let's energetically be like, okay, this is where we're at. And then set a destination. Where do we want to go? So modeling that as well. Thank you so much for your presence today. Thank
All
you
right,
for
thanks for
sharing
having me.
these lessons. If there's anything else you would like to tell the audience, if they are feeling the pressure or they're feeling like they don't have enough time in the day, what 20-second word of wisdom would you impart?
It's generous of you to ask for that. And I'm trying to think of something that is additive to their day rather than subtractive. And by that I mean additive doesn't ask them to pay attention to me. Because
Mhm.
usually at the end of these shows, the normal question is, where can people find you? And I say, check me out on LinkedIn, which I think is subtractive to their attention. It's saying, hey, I want you to take another 2 minutes from your precious time and do something that benefits me. I don't know. How about trying the thing? If someone's listening to this and they haven't tried the thing that you and I did at the beginning, which is start their next call with 3 breaths, try it.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for your time today. Thank you
You're
for
welcome,
joining
Eric.
me.
This was
I'll
fun.
close I'll close the space with a little bit of gratitude. If you'd like to join me, you can bring a gesture of reverence, whatever that might mean to you. Thank you to all the teachers, mentors, guides that came before us, everything that led us to here, to this moment. And I hope that it is with our presence that our intention can ripple out to impact others and let them know that, it's okay to be in relation. It's okay to call things out. It's okay to be intense moments and it's okay to regulate yourself first. So thank you for being here with me today and for modeling.
Do it. This was great.